Thanks everyone for joining us today. We appreciate your taking a little bit of time to learn more about Workday Adaptive Planning and how you might be able to get into the driver's seat and take control of your planning process. My name is Terry Kearns. I'm a senior account executive here with Revelwood, and I am joined by Sarah Hildebrand, a pre-sales solutions consultant, and she's going to take us through a demonstration of Workday Adaptive Planning. So before we jump into the Workday side of the story, I'm just going to give you a brief overview on who is Revelwood. We are a consulting firm specializing in solutions for the Office of Finance. We've been at this since this is our 30th year in business, so going back to 1995. And we've been a partner with Workday since 2017, specializing in adaptive planning, but also we offer the other solutions that Workday offers, including their ERP system, Workday Financials, as well as their HR system. We are part of what Workday calls their Select Partner Program. Um, Today, we have over 300 Workday Adaptive Planning implementations. So we are a strategic partner. We do kind of soup to nuts, selling demos, full implementations, training, and the pretty much everything you could hope for from a Workday partner. Deep experience in financial software and tech. And again, we've been the partner of the year for Workday for the last 2 years running, something that we're very proud of. So a little bit about Workday, publicly traded company, 7.3 billion in revenue in 2024. And they get very high marks from the press, the analyst folks that cover the space, the performance management, and the software space. One of the most innovative companies, best places to work. On the adaptive side of the house, we get very high marks for ease of use, and that spans back in the last 20 plus years when adaptive was first developed and established in the market. Today, we talk about 7,500 plus customers in a variety of different verticals, sizes, shapes, all that good stuff. Very, very pervasive in the market. And again, a lot of coverage from the analyst community. I encourage you to go out and do a little more digging in with whomever your favorite analyst is. But what you're going to find is very high marks for ease of use, customer experience, ability to implement the solution by finance folks. It's not a solution that is overly dependent on IT folks, and just best overall usability. And I mentioned our 7,500 customers with adaptive planning, and these are in virtually all vertical industries, many, small to medium-sized companies who are moving off of Excel where they're hitting a wall, just doing too much manual work, too much inaccuracy, trying to develop more of a process where they're bringing other users in to collaborate in the process. So it's a great solution for small companies that are moving off of Excel, moving up to a purpose-built solution for budgeting, planning, forecasting. We at Revelwood.com have a lot of different resources that are available to you from videos to demos to just a lot of different content, use cases, customer stories. So I encourage you to go check it out at Revelwood.com and and see what's there to help. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Sarah and let her take us through a demonstration.
Thanks, Terry. Hi, everyone. Excited to show you this demo of adaptive planning. Some quick background on me is I currently am the lead trainer here at Revelwood. I help do implementations, and I now help with pre-sales as well. And so I've actually been in your guys' shoes before. I used to be a past client of Revelwood, and did a lot of internal training and stuff once we were going through the implementation process, and was led the administrator role internally as well. And from that, I loved it so much that brought me here to Revelwood. And now I have lots of years of experience in adaptive planning, and I love showing people just the benefits of it and how helpful it is for so many companies in budgeting and forecasting and reporting. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and we'll just get started here. So here we see that we have Excel open. Now, the whole point of adaptive is for you to get out of your modeling and budgeting in Excel, but Workday has this great ability where there's this Office Connect add-in for reporting. So your actuals just came in from the month prior, and you're wanting to update the data. So we can see right away here, we see September through February data, and we want this report and all these different reports in these tabs to update automatically. We can just click on this workbook properties, change that time period to the next month, hit OK, and refresh for all of the different sheets in this Excel file for us, and automatically, in a couple of seconds, we have now our data is updated. This is great because you're able to still use a functionality of Excel while being able to pull in all of your data that already exists in Adaptive. So because of this add-in, we can click on linked cells and see what's actually pulling in directly from Adaptive versus what is Excel based. So we see right now in the green that these time periods, our total company of levels that we're going to talk about a little bit later, and then all these data points are, so that you can differentiate what formulas you're actually doing in Excel versus Adaptive. Most of the time, the best practice is to pull in as much as you can from Adaptive, including any calculations of formula that are built in there instead of creating them in Excel for one source of truth. We also see here to the left are all these different elements. This is all that exists in Adaptive. And we're going to kind of focus on accounts right now. We see that we have our general ledger accounts, custom accounts, any other key metrics you want to pull in, metric where there's calculations, and other kinds of models in Adaptive that you can pull all those data and accounts into Adaptive to look at. We have time you can pull in. Currently, how we have it set up is day, week, year, if you want to pull that in as well. The best practice is month, quarter, year. Levels, this is like the hierarchy of your company. So right now, as we can see here, we have our total company A, B, C. This even can break down all the way to different departments, any hierarchy that you need. Some really popular level structures that a lot of our clients and companies bring in is like cost centers, divisions, stores, locations, departments, anything like that. And then we have versions. So this is where you have unlimited types of versions where you're going to have your actual data pull in at a version, as well as any of your forecast planning versions too. And we'll take a look at that once we get into Adaptive for real. So I just want to show this because this is maybe one of the first things that you do to kind of look at your data from the prior month actuals that just came in, compare it to your working budget. So much you can do with it. On top of that, it's really easy because all you're doing with this add-in is you're pulling in data that already exists in your system of Adaptive. So because of that, I'm going to show you real quick that here we have some operating expenses that these accounts didn't yet get pulled in for this report. So I'm going to click on the accounts, and I'm going to go to my general ledger accounts where these expenses exist. Open that up to my operating. I see there's payroll right there, but I still have to do taxes and benefits. I'm just going to select these rows, and then I'm going to Control Shift down here and select the rest of them. Do the drag and drop feature. And now I'm going to just refresh for this selection that I just did. And automatically, I now have this data points pulling in from Adaptive and showing in my Office Connect reports, which is great. A lot of our clients love this add-in for reporting because you get the Excel functionality, but you have the one source of truth pulling in from Adaptive Planning, all of your models, actuals, forecast data, plan data, anything that you need. On top of this, not only can you use Excel's ability, but you can then link these different graphs and charts and everything like that in data directly into your PowerPoint. This is one of the best features because for any of your board meetings and your internal meetings of wanting to report, instead of having to spend hours and hours updating, you can refresh the data here on your Office Connect report, and then wherever that report is linked to the PowerPoint, once you're logged in for Office Connect add-in here, this whole slide deck can update by just clicking refresh all. So now I see that all of it updated even to the March, the date, as well as any of my time periods and all this data updating as well. So those are the great Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint features that can be used through your adaptive instance. So now let's get into adaptive and see how it works in the actual instance. So here's an instance, and we're going to look at dashboards right now. So again, kind of those things that we looked at of the main components of adaptive is we have our versions here at the top. Like I said, we can do actuals or an unlimited amount of planning scenarios as you need. We're currently looking at a 3+9. And there's even an option where you could do personal scenarios where you're doing a sub scenario off of any of these to kind of play around with the data before you merge it to the official scenario. We also have levels. Again, this is the hierarchy of your company, kind of like what we saw in that Office Connect report, that we have it broken out by company all the way down to departments. Currency, USD, time. This one's broken out by day, month, quarter, year. And then accounts. So like I said before, it's always great to actually create like metric calculations in adaptive. So we see we have gross margin as an account showing right now. Operating expenses. This is your GL account roll up. Net product revenue. Really anything that you need, you can create calculations for an adaptive and display it on any reporting, including this dashboards here. So this is just giving us another look at now the last month of actuals that just came in for March and giving us some good visuals for it. So one of those visuals we want to focus on right now is operating expenses. And we see at this trend line that it just skyrocketed from February, okay? So we're going to click on this data, and we might even want to drill down into different dimensions or attributes in adaptive and look at departments. So which department is this data coming from? We look like that it's at sales north here, and that's really standing out to us. And we can actually see all the other departments broken out and continue to drill down into it. You can pull in CRM data, sales data, any kind of data that you need as well into adaptive and do reporting and dashboards on it. Also creating these graphs is pretty quick, just like how I did the Office Connect one, drag and drop abilities. You already have out of the box graphs to choose and the logic built in for you there. Now, how does all this data for reporting exist in adaptive? It all is going to exist through these different kind of sheets and models here for your forecast data. And where your actual data exists is in the section called integration. Adapt is really great that you're able to integrate with all of your ERP systems as well as HR systems of data, sales data systems, any of those that you'd want to pull data in. You can do it through manual imports, or you can even have it as a loader integrated in, and you decide how often you want that data to populate in adaptive. Do you want it to run daily, weekly, monthly? The options are endless, and you can even set a task where it does it automatically for you. So that's how all of your actual data comes in. And then for your planning forecast data, that's going to be created here in adaptive through modeling. So we're going to kind of look at the expense section here. And so I'm going to click to the expense sheet. So here we see all of our GL expense accounts on the left side in the rows. And since this is a 3+9 version we're looking at, we see in green it's 3 months of actuals plus 9 months of forecast data. Those blue arrows just mean that this is getting linked from maybe another sheet that's calculating it, or it's a formula. We've seen adaptive that there's a lot of great controls here where some of the cells you don't want users to edit, you can lock them or you can make some of them editable. The reason why all the data I've been able to see so far in this demonstration is because I am an administrator in Adaptive and have the highest level of security availability, and can see everything. So you can make it very personal by each person, by levels, by different sheets, by different accounts, however you want it to be for level of security of what people can have access to see or edit. And we're just going to kind of take a look right now into kind of this line of maintenance here. So I see my actuals from last month came in really high. Maybe I want to increase the rest of my budget right away. So all I do is I can just type in like 100 and even right click on it and decide how do I want that to go forward? Do I want to increase it by a value or percentage? I'm just going to increase it by 10%. And now in a matter of seconds for my level of sales north, these time periods in this account of maintenance, I was able to update it on the spot. I can also do a break back where I know that it's actually going to be a total of 20,000 exactly. Just can type that in, hit enter, choose whichever break back method I want. I'm going to do evenly, and now I can have that update. So this is really great that in any intersection of data with these main components that I keep talking about, you can update the data right in Adaptive and you don't have to load it in and make any tweaks as you need. I loved doing this at my past company because we were always trying to hit a certain NOI growth year over year. And after all the calculations and stuff would happen in Adaptive, sometimes we just need to make those little bit of tweaks to get the numbers for our levels and general ledger accounts exactly what we want. We also see here that we have salaries and wages is getting calculated. So this is coming from a different model in Adaptive and getting linked here. I'm just going to right click and do explore cell. And as I click into this, I see that it's coming from this account called personal salary that's getting linked to my actual salaries and wages account in Adaptive. And as I click in that, the only reason why I can see these salary numbers for these individuals is because I have personal access. I am part of a permission set where there's a checkbox that says I can have salary information detail and see all those accounts. So I'm going to go to this sheet real quick. And this is called a modeled sheet in Adaptive. We're just looking at a standard. This is a great sheet where a lot of magic happens because you can do calculations as well as have a lot of your columns have different text fields and numbers and whatever you need. So I see now it's broken down by my individuals with all of their information needed to calculate their expenses as personnel, as well as even the option for allocations. From here, I'm going to take a look at William Clark. And I can see from here, if I scroll slowly over, that he's actually getting allocated here 60% to Sales North, which is what we're focused on for that level still in this demo, and Sales South. So I want to take a look and see what are these calculations and how is this working on the accounts. So if I scroll over to his start date, I see already his allocation here is 60%, which makes his head count only 0.6 because that's for that level of Sales North. Sales South would say 40% with 0.4 as the head count. And then even this first month of him starting, Adaptive is really great that you can even prorate any of their expenses. So we see that his salary expense is getting prorated and his bonuses because he didn't start at the very beginning of October. And then the next month, we see that it's the full amount. From here, we see his taxes start kicking in actually April 2024. And even to the point of his Social Security, it's calculating this based off of a driver sheet to get that percentage based off of his salary. But we also have methodology built in that once it hits its max, it goes down to 0 until the next year. There's all these different types of personnel expense accounts that you can do calculations for all your individuals needed here. To update this file, you can import it in, or you can even just add a row here, type in the name, and start filling out all of those columns of information, and then it will automatically calculate those accounts on the back end for us. And all those accounts, you'll link to the proper GL account of how you want to budget for those expenses, and then you can also even report on them and pull them on for reporting. So if you want to report on headcount by individual and salary and taxes, you can have all those options. So this is how a modeled sheet works. And another way to use model sheets is, yeah, for personnel planning as well as capital or even some revenue. I'm going to leave this. And the next one I'm going to look at is a revenue sheet. So we've updated our expenses. We've maybe updated and added a new person for our personnel expenses that we wanted to. And now what we're going to do is we're going to update our revenue. So right away, I see again in green my 3 months of actuals for all of the sales product data. And then I see those 9 months of forecast data. This is a little different that this is called a cube sheet. So this is where you can pivot data however you want. You can make size in the columns. You could put color in the rows. You can stack all of these together in the rows if you want. You're pretty much able to pivot it in however view that you need to see the data and want to drill down into it. I'm now going to make some updates that I actually want to update my units by customer for the rest of the year because of just some actuals coming in, and I know that it's actually going to increase. To do this, I don't want to change my version like I've been changing for expenses and personnel right now. I just actually want to play around with it and see what the difference would be. So I'll click new scenario here, and I'll just say demo test. So as I create this new scenario, I'm going to switch to it, and it's my own personal scenario based off of the 3+9 version that already exists in Adaptive. Here I see there's my demo test, and it's just a sub scenario. No one else can have access to us unless I share it with them, and it's not going to affect this data at all unless I merge it with it eventually. So I'm now going to look at my units by customer and just drag and drop that over it to give me that different pivot view that I want. And I see all my customers broken out by level sales north and accounts, product A, and then all the different types of sizes and color right now. I'm going to update all this data and just increase it. Instead of doing like an increase one row at a time or anything like that, I can actually do an adjustment by selecting all of it, right clicking on it and clicking just adjust. And I'm going to adjust all of it by a lot of numbers here so that we can see later for reporting how it's going to pull through. And so it's doing it proportionally for me. I'm increasing my units by a ton. And I'm just going to hit save because blue means it hasn't been saved yet. And that yellow shading is showing that I made updates to the original version here in my own personal scenario. This has been saved. I have already checked and updated my reporting and board deck. I checked my visuals for dashboards. I looked at my expenses, made a couple tweaks, and now I've updated my revenue. And now again, I just want to see a different view in reporting of some of these updates I've made. So I'm going to go to reports, and this is called web reports. This is already an adaptive. And I'm just going to click on this current month P&L variance analysis. As I select this for web reports, I see kind of this little similar view to how my Office Connect report looked. I'm looking just at actuals versus the working budget here. So I want to compare how are my actuals compared to working budget for March 2024, see any variances. I get these beautiful little icons showing me what's green versus what is actually going to be red and have some issues. And right away, there's some red that really sticks out to me. And I want to drill down into this and see what is going on. If I open up travel and entertainment, I see the main culprit is 6450 other T&E. And I can click on this data and see what's actually going on. So if I click on it, I'm exploring the cell here. And I see my actuals. And I can see that it's all coming from company A. Now, I don't want to keep drilling into this by levels and adaptive. I actually want to see what is the general ledger transactional data that makes up this huge number that's making me be way over budget for this account for March. I click drill into transactions. And from here, as I just do a quick little glance, boom, what stands out to me is some of these transactions here that we see that for company lunch, they way overbooked the amount. So then I can get back to my accounting team and ask them to make a journal entry adjustment. And I was able to figure that out from just using web reports and Adaptive. This is really great that you can leverage Adaptive for your accounting team, especially when they do month-end close if you want to even. Now I'm going back into my reports. And from here, I actually now want to, instead of comparing actual versus budget, I want to compare the future month of April with the adjustments I've made in my personal scenario. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on my forecast 3+9. And then I'm going to select that personal scenario where I made some tweaks to revenue. And I'm going to update it for the next month because I started those tweaks in April. As I do this, I see that it's red, that my revenue is actually now really high. And I see that breakout right here. And I see that major increase. So this is really great that whenever you do those personal scenarios, you can pull it right away on reporting to play around with it. And I love personally seeing it on reports, then toggling back to actually where I'm doing the budgeting, make some tweaks, refresh my reports, rerun it, and just go back and forth to get exactly the numbers that I want. So that's all I have for the demo today about adaptive planning. It is so great because it is such a simple system of once you start getting the foundational components and understanding that, then you just can build off of it. And it's real-time results where you truly can adjust your budget in real time, make some tweaks, add formulas, and then see the reports in Office Connect, web reporting, and dashboards with those changes and compare. And then now you can save a lot of time instead of entering in so many things in Excel and having to validate. Then now you have the opportunity to actually analyze your data and make great business decisions going forward. So thank you guys very much, and I hope you enjoyed the demonstration.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone again for joining us today. There's plenty of information at revelwood.com. If you would like a deeper dive demo, and we've got different business cases, different use cases that we can explore further, just let us know. And we'll have someone follow up with you, schedule a time to chat a little bit more about your situation. And again, thanks everyone for joining us today. Take care. Bye-bye.